Everyone, today we see some fallout from David's actions. Saul said to the priest Ahimelech, "Why have you conspired against me, you with Jesse's son, giving him food and a sword and questioning God for him, so that he is now against me, waiting in ambush, which is what has happened today?" Ahimelech answered the king, "Out of all your servants, who is more trustworthy than David? He's the king's son-in-law, does whatever you ask, and is well respected in your house. Was that the first time I questioned God for him? Of course not. But please, the king shouldn't accuse me, his servant, or anyone in my father's household of any wrongdoing, because your servant knew nothing whatsoever about this matter." The king said, "You will be executed, Ahimelech, you and all your father's household." The king ordered the guards waiting on him, "Go ahead and kill the Lord's priests, because they've joined up with David too." They knew he was on the run, but didn't inform me. So he went and attacked the priests, killing 85 men who wore the linen priestly vests that day. He put the whole priestly city of Nob to the sword, men and women, children and infants, even oxen, donkeys, and sheep. So we've seen in 1 Samuel, there's this tension between the request for a king as rejection of God. And so here that confrontation comes to a violent head. So we have these priests, these faithful servants of God, are deemed unfaithful traitors to King Saul. And, technically Ahimelech and the other priests, they weren't executed for anything related to being a priest, right? There's no theological reason. They didn't preach against Saul. It's just that they're caught in the political crossfire, the collateral damage in the fight between David and Saul. Right, this priest helped David because as far as he knew, David was still serving the king. And, well, the reason why is because that's exactly what David told him. Maybe David at least should have told this priest that there might be some stakes for helping him. David does accept some blame later, but he still doesn't actually face any consequences. We see religion caught in the middle of political disputes is a common story through history. Sometimes religion props up or even baptizes ungodly leadership. Sometimes the state co-opts a religious message for its own purposes. Sometimes religious leaders take a prophetic stand against unjust powers, even if they eventually get crucified for it. And it's true, the authorities wield the sword, but they sometimes use it against people who do good. Ideally, people of faith can be a voice for good for the state. But we always have to be careful. We always have to be on our guard about how we're using that voice and how that voice is being used. Because anytime the church gets in bed with the state, we tend to be the ones that get in trouble. Sometimes it's clear violence, like we see in this story. Sometimes it's more subtle. The threat always has to be taken seriously so that we can have the voice that God has given us.